What is up YouTube? My name is Skoldiee and welcome back to another video, and this time we're back with another tutorial, and this time we're going to talk about how to attack the open spaces that appears. So let's just get straight into it. So in this first clip we're gonna see that a little bit of attack here in the about a 75th minute here. We're just dragging our opponents apart and then just simply using the space, not stressing our attacks, and then what's gonna happen, we're gonna have an easy goal. So if we just scroll back a little bit here, so we can see here that we're playing the ball into Mane here. So this one, it's an okay pass, but you can see, as you can see, if you're looking at the space here, we're surrounded by 5 players. So what we do in order to play this pass is just to create a little bit of movement here. But in reality, the space where we want to get in is just behind his fullback here, because we have a Mane running. So what we do is we're going to play the ball back because he decides to step up here. And what's going to happen is this space is going to be opening up. And in order for him to be able to defend this, he got to turn around and follow this run. He doesn't do that. He instead selects Varane and covers the run, which means if we would have played this ball, it would have been for no good. So what we've decided to do is we've taken the ball down because the space is here. And in order for him to pressure, because we're winning 2-1, so if in worst case scenario I can just decide to go back if he doesn't decide to pressure, or if I feel that I am stuck in this space. But as you can see here, we're just taking the ball into the space because we have the distance to the opponent. And as I've spoken about before, in order to protect the ball and as well in order to use the information the game gives you, here you can see as well where we're gonna use the space, because what I have to do here is that if I run down here, we're gonna force him to run with us. So he's gonna put some pressure on us here. So what we do is we see that Nedved is in here in the box, and if we just play the ball in here, we can perhaps create a 1-2. We'll see depending on what he decides to do. So what I do is I just play a 1-2. He decides to try to win the ball. Unfortunately, he does not win the ball. And what's gonna happen here is that now he has to decide here. He has to decide to either if he wants to cover this space, and if he does, then we can just cover into the other space. So now we have the possibility of choosing which space we want to go into. And as you can see on my first touch, you can see he's heading his movement down here, which means we have to attack this space here, and we don't want to attack this space here, because if we do, we're gonna have a one-on-one situation between these two. And as you can see here, we have attacked the space. Now we can see that the space is gonna open up here in order, once again, either we go for this space or we go for this space. So once again, your opponent has to decide if he wants to attack. If he does, we can just play the ball over his feet. And as you can see here, what we're gonna do is just simply tap the ball over, easy finish, and all because we just attacked the space. Spaces very, very easily. So once again, just look here, simply in real time, running the ball. He's trying to win the ball, doesn't do it, and we just decide to ask him a question, and he decides to choose the wrong answer, and we score an easy goal. So let's get into this second clip, and this clip might look familiar too because we've used it in a previous video, but the way we do things here is so good because this is just a prime example of how you utilize and use the space the way you should do it. And as you can see here, once again, just simply using the spaces that appears by just having some simple passes and using the time that we get. So if we just break it down, we can see here that the space we have is up here. In here, not a lot of space. And in order to create the space here, we gotta create some movements of our opponent. So we gotta make sure that, as I've said before, the ones we learned in the previous video, we gotta use the information that the game gives us. And we can see here that he's pulling his Neymar out, which means the space is gonna open up behind him. And in order to attack this, I have 2 options. So I can play the ball into to Neymar here, and then I can see what he decides to do. If he decides to step, then I can turn. So what's gonna happen here is we're gonna hold the ball for an extra second. We play the ball to the Neymar, and what he decides to do is straight away before on the first side, he decides to back off. So the space here is very viable. We can either pass the ball to Saint Maxim coming in, or we can just hold the ball as I do here. And what happens now is he thinks I'm gonna play the ball here, but I can see the space is in here. This is where I wanna go. And how do I get there? I cannot just play the ball here because it's a risky pass. So what I have to do is I have to turn around, and he has already tried to cheat a little bit, trying to intercept the ball early. And you can see Petit is just standing here and the space is open up here. So when I play this pass, I can see he's moving his Thiago down this way, which means that if I just hold the ball or receive the ball at a perfect timing, I can play the ball in behind because he wants to cover this space. This is where we have the space from the start. So basically you can see that we find the pass into him or into Eusebio. We take a one touch, no need to complicate things, front post shot, very easy goal. So that's the way we do it, by just simply making sure that we create some movement, and then when we get the movement, that's when we attack the spaces. And as well as you can see in the same kind of game here, earlier in the game it was 1-1. We're simply just using the spaces that appears because we're looking here, he's not gonna come at us because he's gonna believe that we're gonna play the ball to Neymar. But what we do is we slowly just attack the spaces that appears. No rush, no sprinting. And what he has to do, because the space is opened up here, or in between here really, and what he has to do is he has to cover this run here from Neymar, because if he doesn't do, I can just basically either chip it in or play a through ball here, because there's no way he's gonna catch up to it if he doesn't follow it with Petit. So what happens is he does, which means his defense line is gonna be moving this way because Neymar is running through. And what's happened is that this space is opening up here, so if we play the ball to Eusebio, we have plenty of space to operate outside the box. Unfortunately, we play a very poor pass. But what we can see actually is the space opens up here because Van Dijk decided to step up on this poor pass and he's not decided to switch yet. So his intention is he's going to have to cover this pass here, which he does. And then he decides to change to his Van Dijk. So what we do here is we need to go back, or we need to make sure that we protect the ball. And what we do is we decide to protect the ball, turn ourselves around. And in this way, if there wouldn't been a pass here, I could just simply gone back to Firmino and recycled. But in this place, is what happens is that his Thiago has pulled out of position. We have opened up a little simple pass here into the box. And what's going to happen is as soon as this ball is being played, I can see that this space is opened up. And what happened here is that if we just go back half a millisecond, because I posted a little bit too late, is that you can see here that as soon as this ball is being played, I can see he's selecting Petit. So he has once again two options. Either he covers this space or he covers this space. And if he decides to cover this space, I can just simply play the ball to Mbappe and then I can decide to do what I want to do from there. And as you can see, the ball is being played in. While the ball is being played in, I can see he's not going to be able to cover this pass here because he's still selected Petit. And what you can see, one easy pass and an easy goal. So that was everything for this video. So if you combine all of these three videos that I have done now previously, you're gonna be able to see some improvements in your attack. And the way it's you gotta be able to practice, and then it's gonna be in your muscle memory, and it's gonna be a lot easier to make sure that you combine all of these three tutorials together. And if you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Thanks for watching.